round is the only one to be run on a road circuit, and to send them on their way by telephone from his California home is injured IROC competitor Tommy Kendall.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
The historic Watkins Glen Racecourse in the Finger Lakes region of New York State, and the scene of the final round of the International Race of Champions. Today, we will determine the champion. Hello and welcome to Watkins Glen. I'm Paul Page, and let's take a look at the points as we come into this fight, and it's a whale of one. There are 4 men who could win here today. Now, Mark Martin has a mathematical chance, but still a chance. The real fight is between the first 3, Rusty Wallace, Bill Elliott, and Scott Pruitt. Now, Rusty Wallace has more riding than just the championship, and it's $175,000. He has the opportunity to become the first man in IROC history to win 3 in a row. Bill Elliott, well, by his standards, he's not been having a really great season, and so a win here could really bolster his efforts. And then there's Scott Pruitt, who represents the Indy cars, but most of his background is spent in cars very much like these IROC cars. Right now, Scott Pruitt, who could be the spoiler here, is with Gary Gerald.
Well, Paul, spoiler is a perfect term for the man who drives this lime green Dodge Daytona number 3. Scott Pruitt, tucked in here, has had great success on this circuit in the past. A 4th, a 3rd, the last time a 2nd. What's it going to take to get number 1 today with those 2 guys right in front of you?
Well, I figured if they just moved over, that would be just about right.
Are you going to have to help move them over?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, these guys are tough racers, and they know what it takes. And, you know, what we've been seeing all season is some really good, close, tough racing. And you're going to see more of it today.
Well, we're ready for it, and it ought to be real interesting once they get that green flag going to turn number 1. Paul?
So keep an eye on IndyCar driver Scott Pruitt on the start. Now, Sam Posey, who's the favorite?
Oh, it's got to be Rusty Wallace. He's been the dominant force in Winston Cup racing for the last few years here at Watkins Glen. He has won the last 2 consecutive IROC races, and he is leading the IROC championship. But Bill Elliott, who starts alongside Rusty in the front row, knows all about that, knows how tough his opponent is, and he also knows that he must beat Rusty Wallace if he, Bill Elliott, is going to win the championship. I look for it all to boil over down there in turn 1 of the first lap.
Now, this is the only time in the 4-race series that they run on a road course. Bobby Unser, that means some changes to the cars.
It does, Paul. In order to balance the cars out from an oval to a road course, they've had to add weight to the right side of the car, bringing the weight up to 3,650 pounds. Now, that's heavy for stopping on road circuits, so brakes is going to be the answer. The guy that takes care of his brakes is going to be the guy that's going to be able to pass when an opportunity happens. Now, the Dodge Daytonas have good brakes, but remember the weight. They'll run them hard for about 5 laps, then they'll have to take care of them for a little while. And that's where the race is going to be a big change, or the difference in it.
So 11 Dodge Daytonas are set and ready to take the green flag, absent, of course, the injured Tommy Kendall. By the way, Dorsey Schrader had what they thought was an engine problem. They pulled the hood for a moment and finally got his car running right. Let's take a look at the field. The front row, Rusty Wallace, Bill Elliott. The entire field, of course, is done in order of the points they've earned. In the second row, it is Scott Pruitt in the lime car and Mark Martin in the red machine. The third row, Al Unser Jr. in that bright yellow car, and his father in the gold car. The fourth row is Jeff Bodine and Jeff Brabham. In the fifth row, Bob Woollick and Dale Earnhardt, and Dorsey Schrader starts alone in the last row. They now take a look at the final turn, and we're set and ready in the final round, the 4th race of the International Race of Champions. Onto the pit straight here at Watkins Glen. This first turn could be very decisive as the green comes out. Car, Wallace takes a center line down to the first corner. Scott Pruitt closes up behind him. Elliott is pushed onto the curb on the outside. Al Unser Jr. is closing in behind Elliott.
A clean start. The odds against that were about 10 to 1.
The real surprise is the move by Pruitt, who has managed to get around Wallace, and Pruitt has the lead. We suggested that might happen, and there it is.
Yeah, Paul, you know, going into that first turn, too abreast and through the turn. Too abreast without anybody spinning each other out was more than a miracle, I think.
Pruitt knew he had 1 shot to win this thing, and it probably was going to come in turn 1. He took it, and now we can see whether he can hang on. Big pass there.
Al Unser Jr. takes it off the course, gets it airborne when he hits the barrier. He was on the outside of the corner as they entered it, and so Al Unser Jr. so very quickly is done.
He who has had most of his success in IROC right here at Watkins Glen, twice winning this race.
He knew going to be hard to pass. The brakes wouldn't last very long, so he tried to pass on the outside. It happens to be one of the hardest places to pass here.
He had scrupulously warmed his tires up during the warm-up lap, but I guess he didn't get the grip he needed.
And there you see the yellow flag comes out. Now remember, in the International Race of Champions, yellow flag laps do not count. Al Unser Jr. has won 3 times here. 86, 88, 89, was second in 87. Let's take a look at this.
You can just see as he went into the turn, that's a turn at the end of the long back straightaway, Paul. He never really quite got down tight, and he got loose. His left rear just got loose and came around, spun, and of course you can see what a nice job that the retaining wall did, just bounced him right back.
Al Unser Jr. out of the car. The yellow flag is out. Little Al's day is done. Scott Pruitt has jumped from the second row up to take the lead of the international race. Well, the cars are all coming into the pits answering a red flag because of Al Unser Jr.'s accident. They'll be stopped here. And Al Unser Jr. is now with Gary Gerald.
Junior, can you tell us what happened?
Well, I just got in too deep in the back in the cold tires, and I got in the gray, lost the back end, and I went off.
You're obviously okay, and we understand you may get a chance to go into the backup car from the back of the pack.
Yeah, they mentioned something about that. I need to talk with Jay first.
All right, good luck.
Thanks.
Jay, of course, is Jay Signori, the president of the IROC. Let's look at the accident again. The yellow car is Al Unser Jr., but look at the light blue car. That's Jeff Bodine, who was trying the very same maneuver. The man most affected by this accident, though, is Scott Pruitt, and right now he's with Gary.
Well, Paul, here's Scott Pruitt, who sits at the head of this lineup for the moment, but Scott, they tell us it's a complete restart. So that beautiful attempt to get the lead looks like you're going to have to try and do it again. How tough will it be a second time?
Well, I hope it's not a complete restart. You know, that's one bad thing. I mean, it was a good start. It was clean. And I think they should let it go. Otherwise, I mean, I guess I'm the odd one out.
Well, from the indications we're getting, it sounds like that's the case. Richter telling us moments ago it'd be a complete restart since the first lap wasn't complete. So I guess you'll just have to show us how to do it a second time in turn number 1.
Well, you get lucky once. I'm not sure if you can get lucky twice.
We wish you well.
Scott Pruitt will need some luck. The lucky man is Al Unser Jr., who now climbs into Tommy Kendall's car. Let's get an explanation of all of this. Here's Gary Gerald.
Well, Paul, Jason Yori, of course, the president, the hard-working man who runs this IROC series, and a very tough and delicate decision has been made. Tell us about the move to get Unser back in the race.
Well, we want to make sure we have a good show here with all the drivers. Normally in an IROC situation, you need to complete a lap for the race to be official. Al caused a spin up in the corner, so we decided to restart the event, give him another car, and start him at the back of the field so he still has an opportunity to run in the race versus not allowing him to start at all.
How's Scott Pruitt and some of the others taking this now after he particularly loses the lead?
Well, it's one of those situations that you can't please everybody. We think this is fair as we can make it at this stage of the game. Scott retains his position where he started. I think he'll be in good shape when it's all over.
Thank you, Jane.
You're welcome.
Paul?
Well, I'm sure they're going to be talking about that decision for a long time to come. There is precedent set, though, from the green flag accident that occurred 2 years ago at Nazareth, Pennsylvania. There's the new starting lineup. So now the field rolls toward a green flag with everything save the position of Al Unser Jr. in the car he drives, just as it was at the start. And we will be starting the timers as well as the lap count on 0. So a most fascinating situation here, and the reason given in part for the placement of Al Unser Jr. in the back of the field is that he was the cause of the yellow flag. But now the advantage may in fact go to Rusty Wallace, who was able to anticipate, or will be able to anticipate, the move that Scott Pruitt made on the first start. And if you take a look at the side of Rusty Wallace's car, you can see it was very close quarters there because there's a wheel mark from his car from that pass. So whatever advantage Pruitt may have had may exist no longer.
Well, that's a rare advantage to get, too, Paul. We didn't know how that first start was going to come out, but it was really close. And here they come down for the start.
So we're racing once again, and it's just as if we're starting all over. Rusty Wallace comes a little bit wider this time. Elliott behind him, and Mark Martin takes advantage of this one, and Martin comes past Elliott and picks up second place.
And Pruitt this time comes out of that first turn in third. Not first. Big shake-up.
Now it just goes to show you the difference between those starts. The start here is just so awfully important, Paul.
Now Pruitt comes up to third place. Mark Martin in second. Elliott back to fourth. And Rusty Wallace, taking advantage of this restart, is able to stretch out just a bit. Now you're on board, Scott Pruitt.
Well, when Rusty came down for that start, he just was legging it coming off the turn 7, right down for the green flag. It was like no mercy this time.
He got such a good start, he was able to take the turn the way he would want to, ideally, from the outside, and he is wide there, too.
Rusty Wallace runs a little bit off the track. No problem. He's going to use every inch of this course at Watkins Glen that he can. Now Mark Martin closes in.
Rusty Wallace likes to be known as a hard charger. He enjoys that reputation. If he slides off the track a little bit here and there and kicks up some dirt, he likes it.
Well, without doubt, man, he's one of the best road racers in NASCAR, if not the very best. It's said by a lot that he is. He just absolutely really likes road course racing.
Everybody lined up as once again they head for the first turn, completion of lap number 1.
Now let's keep in mind, they can't run these brakes as hard as they would like to for the entire race. So what you're going to see is the cars trying really hard to pass the other cars, but taking good enough care of their brakes so as to wait for the opportunity for a pass, or in other words, for somebody to make a mistake in front of them.
Yeah, exactly, and of course that's where Wallace is going to have to temper his aggressive tendencies. The last 2 races which he won in IROC, which were both oval races where he didn't have to worry about the brakes. Here he's going to have to.
But Sam, remember, he doesn't have any traffic. As long as he stays out in front, he can pick and choose when he brakes. So he'll have his brakes a lot cooler than the rest of the guys.
But he is being pressed very hard, and that's going to force him to use a brake.
The light blue car, of course, we just saw there was Al Jr. up from 11th to 8th on just the first lap. That's how fast he's coming in a car which he had not driven until this last lap.
One would normally consider it a disadvantage to have to jump to another car the way Al Unser Jr. has done, but remember, in the International Race of Champions, they don't even get an opportunity to practice in the car that they will race. The car is chosen by the luck of the draw.
No, but they do get fitted to them, though.
Yes, that's right. Well, they don't. They don't, Sam. In fact, he had to jump in Tommy Kendall's car and no choice. So however the seat is set is the way he'll drive it. But he's young.
Here he comes. He's looking to pass.
Al Unser Jr. picks up another position as he gets past Dale Earnhardt.
He's 6th now, Paul. Oh, what a charge for Al Unser Jr., who, when he had his crash, made the point that he has been so successful in IROC racing at this track. 2 of his IROC championships came with victories here at Watkins Glen.
And once again, at least you think there's a mistake here. That car that says Kendall is in fact Al Unser Jr. He wrecked his own car on an aborted start here and is now trying to move up through this field. Leader of the race is still Rusty Wallace.
If you consider the championship situation, of course, Rusty Wallace must have a grin on his face because his closest pursuer, Bill Elliott, is back in 4th place.
So Wallace leads it. Mark Martin is in 2nd. Scott Pruitt 3rd. Bill Elliott sits in 4th place. Those are the 4 contenders for the IROC Championship. At Watkins Glen, New York, you ride with Rusty Wallace, who leads this race. He is the points leader, and of course, were the race to finish right now, he would be the IROC champion, but there's still plenty of distance to go. Rusty Wallace finished 8th here in 1989. As Wallace works his way around this track, one of the surprises seems to be that he is pulling a bit away and that Mark Martin runs in 2nd place. One would have presumed that Martin would not have gotten up into that position and joined this battle. Of course, this is a nice, desperate drive for Martin because he does have a mathematical chance. These are Scott Pruitt's feet as he motors around the track. Look at how he tests that brake pedal and pumps it up, gets it up to pressure. That's what you were talking about.
Well, the idea is these are 3,650-pound cars that you mentioned earlier, Paul. They need to know. They're driving these cars so deep, they need to know if they're going to have brakes when they get to the turn.
Scott Pruitt, as he comes down through the gears, flips the throttle. Boy, what a unique view.
And boy, does he mash the throttle when he mashes it. He's going uphill through those turns now.
Well, you can watch as he comes through, watch his right foot. Now, sometimes when he goes through the turns, he feathers it a little bit. That means the rear end is